Hello once again to my fellow H.O. slot car racing fans. This is Mark Natividad over at West Coast Slot Cars in Los Angeles, California. Hello everyone, how's it going? I hope you guys and girls had a great summer. And I don't know about you, but I was definitely tearing it up this summer. I was outside a lot. And I really haven't been thinking about slot car racing just about until now. So forgive me if I haven't done any videos, but again, thank you to all who have subscribed and thank you for your comments and suggestions as always. And again, this is Mark Natividad at West Coast Slot Cars in Los Angeles, California, bringing you another exciting video. And today's video is actually going to be on, there's my contact information, by the way. Today's video is going to be on setting up your AFX Mega G Plus slot car. Well, first of all, I have to say thank you to Elise over at AFX. I actually bought the 2-pack, and here's the other car it came with. And unfortunately, the chassis on that other car wasn't performing well. It actually went in and out, and I was breaking it in, and it just started conking out on me. So nevertheless, if you guys, again, do get a car that is not good, by all means, go on AFX website, www.afxracing.com, fill out a warranty, they'll get right back to you, and gosh, a week later, I got this in the mail today. So this is the replacement chassis. And again, what they go ahead and do is they test it out so they don't send you another bummer chassis. So that is extraordinary customer service, and I always say AFX for life. So that's why I'm a fan of AFX. That's why I've been a fan of AFX for all these years. So without further ado, this car is already set up, so let's go over basically the chassis setup and what I'm going to do to this chassis and what we like to do in our club. So again, this has been tested, but there's a few things that we like to do to get the cars running even more optimally. So first of all, I usually take a little battery just before I do anything. I haven't oiled it. This is pretty much right out of the package here. I'm going to give it a test, and I'm getting good power. So that's a good thing. So that chassis does work. Again, I think I did that with my last one, but once I got it on the higher voltage, that's actually when I started to have a problem. So nevertheless, I'm sure it works just fine. So a couple things we like to do is change out the axles, and I'll bring in these axles, and these are already set up. That is my VIPER rear axle, and that is my VIPER front axle. And let's talk about those for a minute. All right, so you can buy the VIPER axles already set up, ready to go. And if you're like me, I like to set my stuff up myself. So I went ahead and bought the components to build my rear axle, and then the front axles just come all together. So if you spend $5 on an axle, you're going to get the whole thing. So no big deal there, no brainer. But the rear axle, again, you can get the fully assembled axle. But the components, the VIPER components for this particular axle is, let's see, I have the .250 rear hubs. I have their splined axle. I have a .20 spacer between the, where actually it goes at the end of the crown gear. And once you snap it in the chassis, it goes between the chassis and the gear so that you have a little bit of space in there, or you take up space in there so you don't get too much play side to side. And this is a 23 tooth crown gear, so that'll definitely give your car some more pep. So basically, here is the new chassis, and also let's talk about the diameters of the tires a second before we begin. So the stock front diameter on the tire is 0.390, and the stock rear diameter is 0.460. So changing out the axles, switching over to the VIPER axle, I also forgot that I had SuperTires on, but switching over to the VIPER axle, I use the SuperTires .452 rockets, and those will just slip right onto the .250 rims. So again, SuperTire rockets, they have the rounded sidewall, which I like a lot. So basically, I'm just going to pop out that axle, set that aside, pop in the new axle. Again, make sure your spacer is down near your crown gear. Make sure the magnet doesn't pull it away. A little tap there, love tap, all right? And once I get that seated in, it should snap right in, and I should have very good gear mesh. All right, that's pretty much ready to go. All right, that's easy peasy. So the reason why I replace and change out the front axle is that, you know, you have to remember that these are toys, they're mass produced, and I don't think I've ever gotten a set of hubs, I mean, that are perfectly straight. So again, there's a lot of wobble in that, and I don't know if you can see that. I'll spin it slower, but they do wobble. So your car will wobble, it won't be as smooth. The second part about these, it is very difficult to get these off. And let me show you my technique. So there, I took the front tires off already. So a couple ways you can do it. I mean, if you're not going to use the axle anyway, you can just take some wire snips and snip that axle right there. And make sure if you are snipping, make these, especially for cutting wire, use goggles, safety first. But basically these axles, because of the toy standards and the laws, they have knurls on them. So sometimes you can pull these off, but they're very difficult to pull off. So here, let me see if I can muscle these off here. So I'll basically just grab a hold onto each hub, and I'll spin it. And as I'm spinning it, I pull it. It feels like this one's giving a little bit. I don't know. All right, well, I don't even know if I got anywhere on that one. So basically, I go to my plan B here, which is 2 sets of pliers. There we go, there's one set. Let me grab my other set here. There we go, 2 sets of pliers. And I'm just going to grab these hubs. I'm not going to use them anyway. So, actually, let me grip from this side. I like to pull with the bigger set. All right, there's my smaller set. All right, locked in. And let's grab this, and I'm going to grab it and just sort of weasel it off here. Whichever way you can. There we go. Actually, that came out very smoothly. So as you can see, I got that one side off, and again, I don't know if you can see that there's little bumps on that axle, and it almost seems like it's melted on there. So that's that can give you some work there. That's a workout. So basically, I'm just going to toss that in recycling. All right, so that leaves me with no front axle. I'm going to take my VIPER front axle, pull off one side, slide it through, and put on the other hub. Slide that in. There we go, and I'm going to clean up too much space in between there. I want a little bit of space, not too much. So those should spin very freely. All right, so there we go. So that didn't take too long. So there you go, there's an easy setup. I mean, if you don't want to go through that, you can just change out the rear tires on the rear hubs. And that's, again, the easiest way to get instant performance out of your slot cars. These are rubber tires, these are silicone tires, so big difference. All right, last but not least, let's go ahead and oil this. Here's my little micro oiler. I'm using Mobil 1 synthetic, which is perfectly safe for plastics. And I'm going to put a dot of oil where each axle touches the chassis. One there, one there, and turn it over here, back axle, rear axle, and here. Okay, give that a few turns. Last but not least, I also like to go ahead and oil the bushings, which are the rear motor bushing. One little drop there. And you may have to move this wire out of the way, and you can see the front of the end bell here. Actually, I don't have to move mine very much. One little drop in the front. There we go. So I'm going to bring my 9-volt battery back in here. Make sure positive. Positive is always on the driver's side. And voila. Sounds very smooth. There we go. And here is the body for this car. Snap it on. And there's the body, and there's the chassis. So that's the setup. Lastly, what I like to do is, again, having the proper tools is necessary. This is my setup track. This is a VIPER setup track, and it is exactly the same rail height as AFX track. So I'll be running this mostly on my AFX track. Now, again, if you're running on a VIPER track or a track with lower rails, you can probably come down a lot lower on the tire diameters, most likely. So let's take a look at this. So I'll set my chassis without the body on it on my setup block. and I want to turn it upside down first. And what I am looking for is to make sure that the pickup shoe fully contacts the rail, the full length of the pickup shoe. So if it was not connecting, then I'd have to take the pickup shoes off and bend them until I get the proper result here. So it looks like these are good to go. All right, so again, guys, having the proper tools. Again, if you're going to set your own axles up, make sure you have your wheel tools. Don't be Mickey Mousing it there, because you won't get good results if you're going to do that. So anyways, there you have it. There is our Club Racing Mega G Plus setup. Again, silicone tires will be fine. If you want to just go with just a basic, easy upgrade, pop some silicone rear tires on, you're good to go. But if you want to race and you want some more performance, I definitely recommend the axles from VIPER, and get those all ready to go. Or you can add the components and put the components together, and you'll need SuperTires, the 452s. So that's about it. That's it for our setup. And you'll see that when you do put them on the track, you'll see some really great performance. They have really good punch, and they sound very, very, very smooth. So lastly, I have my test track set up on the living room floor out here. I just vacuumed, so I put my track down just to test it out. And I'll just take it around the track pretty gingerly for about 5 minutes or so. Bring it back, oil it, check the pickup shoes, check the gears, make sure it's not overheating. And then from there, you're pretty good to go. All right. So I think that is going to do it for today's video. And again, this was pretty much our setup and how we like to run our AFX Mega G Plus cars. And before I finish, I would like to say thank you to Elise over at AFX for her outstanding customer service. And no questions asked. I filled out the warranty card, I did some troubleshooting, and I put in what I thought they needed, and she got back to me right away, no problem. So it's definitely a defective chassis, and we'll send you a new one, and I got it today. So again, thank you to AFX. Thank you to Nick and Sandy over at Super Tires. Hope you guys are doing well. And Dan over at VIPER in Utah. And I hope you are doing well too, Dan. All right, so that's all my thank yous. And thank you as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please hit like. Please subscribe if you want to check out some videos. I try to make these videos unique and not put any material in there that people are already talking about. So there you have it. That's just me. I enjoy the hobby. I love it. I love sharing the hobby. Again, happy to have your comments. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Here you go. Let me put my contact information back in there. Give me a shout, whatever you like, or you can put comments in the YouTube videos. But again, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out. This, again, is Mark Natividad over at West Coast Slot Cars in Los Angeles, California, saying goodbye for now. Happy racing.